This chapter, we're going to introduce plasma membranes. This is what's going to separate the cell from the external environment of the cell. We will go back to chapter 4, so I really like these visual summaries. So we'll spend some time talking about this here. These are nice to get all the concepts and how they are all related to each other summarized in one page. Okay. So here we are, we're going to focus on cellular membranes in this. We'll talk a little bit about the structure. We'll define what this fluid mosaic model is. We're going to see that we have phospholipids, we have proteins, we have cytoskeletons, which are, these are proteins that give the cell structure and these proteins are inside the cell. And then we'll talk about all the proteins that are on the surface of the cell. Okay. The reason that we need cellular membranes is to be in charge of what gets in and out of the cell. We'll talk about 3 different types of transport. First, we'll talk about passive transport, which is the lazy way. There's no ATP required for passive transport. And we're going to have 3 different ways that we can do passive transport. We'll talk about active transport. This does require ATP. So there we go, it requires energy. This is how we are going to move stuff up the concentration gradient. So from an area of low concentration to high concentration. I'll also talk about bulk transport, which is moving lots of stuff all at once. And we can move stuff into the cell using endocytosis, and we can move stuff out of the cell using exocytosis. And just to kind of put ourselves back into the scale of biology, for unit 1, we talked about atoms and molecules, and now you'll see that's all unit 1. Now we're really going to be spending most of the rest of the semester talking about cells, and anatomy and physiology. You'll talk about these levels, specifically in the context of humans, in Bio 182 and some other courses. You will learn about these larger levels of biology. Now, way back in chapter 1, we defined a whole bunch of criteria that are important for life. We use the acronym ROACHES. And if we remember, the H stands for homeostasis, which is where we need to maintain a stable interior environment compared to the outside environment that might be experiencing some fluctuation. And this job of maintaining homeostasis is done by the plasma membranes. Okay, and so we're used to thinking about these barriers at a large scale. So at this scale, the large scale of an entire organism, we have the outside environment. We have the interior environment of the wood of this tree, and then the bark is the interface between them. I'll just finish writing barrier. Okay. Same with skin. Okay.
And looking back to little dog, little Maggie, she got you little tummy. We want to touch that little Maggie tummy.
Similarly, we can have this outside-inside interface at the small scale, at the scale of a individual cell. We have our red blood cell that contains hemoglobin. So we can have that at the cellular level. We can also have a bunch of plasma membranes that are being compartments. So we have these different various organelles within cells. And that's what we'll talk about in chapter 4, is we'll go through all these different organelles that you're gonna have to memorize. Okay, here is these are all the cells in the gut lining of a human. And what we can see, let me use red, is that these have a really high surface area compared to the volume that they take up. And so that's gonna be really important to their function, but I won't give that away. No spoilers here.